Ubizo Lungibize enkanweni ngiyokhalela abani nayi iphimbo lami liphindaphinde entabeni ngithi inyawo zami ngibeleze kulo mhlaba nemsini ngifunana noxolo ey'nkanweni kukhalisa emaye emzini kamkhulu.
Sawubona to you as from one great spirit to another. Kamalamu Tulani Wagwamalevu. Welcome to Ubizo Daily. Today we enter yet again dangerous territory, not because truth is dangerous, but because lies have been repeated for so long that truth even feels offensive. Today we speak about Alkebulan masculinity, and no, this is not about domination. It most certainly is not about ego. It's not about violence. It's not about controlling women and children. Not that performative toughness. That is not masculinity. That is just simply unresolved trauma wearing armor. Today we ask, what happened to Alkebulan manhood? Why are so many men spiritually disconnected? Why are so many boys growing up without initiation? Why are so many men taught that performance matters instead of purpose? And who benefit when men either become destructive or absent? Let's start the conversation with speaking about how colonization disrupted male identity. Long before colonial disruption, many Alkebulan societies had structured pathways into manhood, such as mentorship, responsibility, rites of passage, land stewardship, protection of community, economic contribution, spiritual accountability, eldership. Although this was not perfect every way, but there were systems. And then in came colonialism, disrupting these structures. Land theft removed economic power. Forced labor removed fathers from their homes, and prisons expanded, cultural systems were dismantled, and generations later, we still get to inherit fractured masculine identity. And because of that fractured masculine identity, there is what we have nowadays, which is economic disempowerment. Great spirit, a man unable to provide often experiences psychological pressure. It may not be spoken about aloud, but it is there. Not because his value is only financial, but because many systems tied masculine dignity to contribution. So when land was stolen, economic autonomy therefore weakened and dependency expanded. This created cycles of frustration, and unresolved frustration often becomes addiction, violence, withdrawal, or even emotional absence. And because of that, we then had hyper-performant masculinity. Now many boys are taught shallow versions of manhood, things such as money, women, status, aggression, material display, emotional suppression. Great spirits, this is not strength, because strength requires discipline, it requires service, it requires emotional maturity, integrity, and spiritual grounding. Whereas on the other hand, performance masculinity often hides deeper insecurities. Let's speak about fatherlessness and mentorship gaps. Many young men are being raised without healthy masculine examples. I can say safely, I'm one of those. Some fathers were physically absent, others were emotionally absent. Some were never healed from their own trauma. And it's saddening as a son, as a child, to watch your father live his life, and you realize certain things about what he may have gone through as a child, and still even now, it's still the same tape that plays. That's a very weird situation to be in, you know. It plays out differently for everyone, but I've got my own stories to tell in terms of what he enjoyed as a baby. And to how currently it looks, you know. And that is why mentorship matters. That is why eldership matters. Responsible uncles matter, you know. That is why teachers matter. Communities. Boys require guidance. And I've been singing this tune for quite a while now, you know. We can't have this conversation without speaking about masculinity having to return to service. True power, great spirit, true masculine power builds, it protects, it provides, it leads with humility, it creates safety, it protects women and children, it honors women, it builds institutions, it develops discipline and serves future generations. That is power. If anything at all, we must aim to return to service. And just before we close, let's speak about how healing as men helps heal nations. When men heal, when we heal, families stabilize, communities strengthen, children feel safer, women carry less survival burden, institutions become healthier, and healing masculine identity is national work. So, yes, it starts individually with you in your own room in isolation. But if you get to do that, and then your neighbor does, and then before you know it, the block, the entire community, the entire town, city, it's nation work. You know, it's not just private work alone. So today, ask yourself, what version of masculinity were you taught, and did it prepare you to save life or simply perform power? Because nations need healed men, not loud men, not broken men pretending to be strong, but men disciplined enough to protect what matters. Until next